Well, the recent inflation data from the MBS shows that food inflation moderated to 22.72% in April from 22.95% in March. However, some analysts have raised eyebrows about Nigerian inflation falling at a time when global food prices are rising amid government-funded initiatives aimed at tackling food insufficiency. Well, we have the chairman, Agribusiness Group of Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, that's Nasima. He's also the honorary consul of Botswana in Lagos, Mr. Adefeko. He joins us now to understand and unravel some of the dark shades of this inflation figure. Good morning, Mr. Adefeko. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
So let's start with, when you heard the inflation figures, that food inflation had gone down, were you surprised or were you expecting it?
I wasn't really surprised. Don't forget that throughout last year, the COVID pandemic really hampered a lot of production. But production is ramping up. We're already in the second quarter of the year. And for me, I've always believed that we will not have a food crisis. We will have a problem with having food from the farm to the farm gate. But in terms of food production, I don't think we will have a problem with production. So I'm not really surprised.
All right, the highest increases were recorded in fish, meat, oils and fats, tubers, bread, cereals, and other vegetables. Some of these commodities are produced locally. Is this the effect of insecurity, or are there other issues driving this?
Sorry, I didn't get your question properly. What was your question again?
I said that the highest increases were in bread, cereals, potatoes, and vegetables. But these commodities are produced locally. Was this an effect of insecurity, or are there other issues driving this?
To a large extent, what might have occasioned this is, one, don't forget the fact that there's been a spate of insecurity across the nation. Okay, criminality and banditry to a large extent. But again, don't forget that some of these products you're talking about, particularly vegetables, are perishable. And if you're not able to get your food from farm to farm gate and it rots, by the time you are replenishing, your replenishment cost is higher. So whatever you do have at that point in time tends to sell at a slightly higher price. So that is the reason. That's probably one of the reasons why. And again, like I said, occasioned again by the state of insecurity.
So the rise in food prices also has been exacerbated by imports restrictions on certain staples. How much of this has to do with the taste of Nigerians?
I'm one of those who believe that Nigerians must have what you call a palate change. And the Nigerians are really having a palate change. Don't forget that these restrictions on imports of certain staples have been with us since around about 2015 or thereabouts, when the Central Bank of Nigeria did not allocate foreign exchange for some of those products, or some of those staples as it were. So we were constrained and forced to look inwards to a large extent because of the lack of foreign exchange to bring them in. So that to a large extent has hampered that. But again, a lot of Nigerians are now looking inwards, have now had what I call a palate change. So a lot of Nigerians prior to now were not eating too much of macaroni, pasta and the likes, but strictly restricting themselves to maybe rice. But right now, as we speak, a lot of food items now are, a lot of the staples we used to have now, they are derivatives from some of these food products, and people are experimenting with all sorts. And again, I'm one of those who believe that we always talk about lack of staples or lack of food products in the urban areas, but in the rural areas, the farmers who are mostly small scale go to the farm, harvest. As soon as they harvest, they eat it fresh. Their problem has always been logistics of getting the food items out of the farm to the farm gate. This is a value chain thing. So it has to move from the respective farms and farm holdings across in the respective villages and sometimes towns to the city center. So the logistics of it is always where the problem has always been. So we've never had. I'm one of the proponents of the fact that we will never have a food crisis, as it were. What we will have, or what we're having right now, is what we call a palate change on the part of Nigerians.
Do you think it's time for a Buy Nigeria campaign?
Well, it doesn't have to be Buy Nigeria campaign forcefully, but in terms of, we have to just look inwards, and that's what it is. I mean, when there was the ban, I won't call it ban, when there was a restriction of foreign exchange for those items, a lot of Nigerians had to look inwards. And I mean, since 2015 or thereabout, or 2016, people have been looking inwards, and that's what has been happening. So Buy Nigeria is, yes, it might be a good time for the Ministry of Trade or Ministry of Agriculture to come in sync, or to talk about buy Nigeria. But I think a lot of Nigerians have been buying Nigeria. Let's be very realistic about it. So buying Nigeria. Look, let me give you quick examples. Nigeria is the largest producer of yam. Okay, Nigeria is the largest producer of cocoyam. Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava. So we're not doing badly on all those staples, as it were. And we're not doing badly on the grain side either. What we just need to do is to make sure that these items we're able to store. Storage is very key and important, and logistics and security is improved upon. With that, if all those things are settled, we won't have any problem at all. And my NASIMA members bear me witness.
Okay, but there's also a conversation around, for instance, some people who deal in popcorn have to import the corn that they use, you know, for popcorn, because they say the quality of the corn or the maize in Nigeria doesn't pop so well. Even the issue of wheat has to be imported. So when you say that Nigerians are buying a whole lot of Nigerian made or planted in Nigeria, then we have conversations like this, and we wonder, so what's going on about those ones, or what can be done, you know, to improve the quality of these crops?
Let me speak to wheat, for example. Wheat is an essential ingredient for flour, okay? And let's be frank with ourselves. Wheat is a is a temperate crop. It's not a tropical crop. And the wheat production in Nigeria is less than 5%. So let's not kid ourselves. We're not going to get a wheat production ramped up overnight. It's over time, which is why a lot of companies are testing different seed varieties. My company, which I'm vice president of, and my members, which is Olam, is already testing different seed varieties to see which ones can grow well in the temperate regions in the country. Okay, so that's the reason why. And you're talking about corn. The corn variants that are available are suitable. Okay, but what is important is that the production cycle of that is where the issue lies. I think there was a shortfall sometime last year whereby importation of corn had to be allowed by the Central Bank of Nigeria for us not to have a corn shortfall. And the same corn we're talking about is the same corn being used again by the animal feed industry. So production of corn can be ramped up. But what we need to do, or what we need to have as a nation, is to have a strategic grain reserve. When there's a bumper harvest, we have the excess corn stored over a period of time. Okay, during the time when we need the corn and which the strategic grain reserve can be released. But that we have not really worked on, and those are the things we need to look at. Have a strategic reserve in our silos.
All right. As NASIMA, what conversations are you having with relevant government agencies regarding, insecurity?
No. Our conversations are ongoing. Our conversations are through back channels. We're having those conversations on a regular basis. And you need to understand that the bulk of farmers in Nigeria are smallholder farmers, and those smallholder farmers are the ones who bear the brunt. But I'm not one to put any ethnic coloration to it. The insecurity in the country, the farmer crisis with bandits and criminals is what it is. There's a crisis there. Okay, so people are chased out of their farms. People are impeded from planting and all that. But for me, I think that is a major security issue which the authorities are aware of and which I believe they are addressing. Are they addressing it fast enough? Maybe not. But again, what is important is that that conversation is being had with the relevant authorities through various channels. And we as NASIMA are on a recurring basis having those conversations to make sure that, yes, food production is ramped up. Because food security is an essential anchor for development. So you need to. I mean, without food security, a lot happens. And for food security in Nigeria, I think is something that is at the very highest levels of government and even in the private sector is something that is taken seriously.
Mr. Difficult, some of us are really curious about those conversations, because sometimes they sound very vague and, just the norm. Could you give us an idea of what kind of conversations or what kind of strategies are being proposed? Because it doesn't seem like it's abating,
Well, you have to look at it from different viewpoints. I'm sure what we've had now in the last couple of months have been kidnappings, banditry, and criminality. In the last couple of months, farmers and farms being raided and the likes have not really been brought to our notice, as it were. So that has waned. What has been on the uptake and has been on the increase right now is kidnappings, banditry, and outright criminality. So which is very unfortunate. Okay, but the conversations being had with government is to just provide that enabling environment whereby the access to the farms, particularly in the rural areas, by farmers goes on unhindered, and that is a conversation that is not a one-off conversation. It's a constant conversation, and the strategy is to make sure that there's safety, at different points in time at the respective areas where our farmers are going about their lawful duty in making sure that they provide food for the nation, and that we do not have what we call, a food crisis.
All right.
Fortunately for us right now, we do not have a food crisis, and let nobody try and come up with any fear mongering with respect to there's no food crisis.
So thank you so much, Mr. Difficult. We'll certainly stay optimistic with you that we are not having a food crisis and we will not have a food crisis. Thank you so much for joining us.
What we have is a palette change. So the palette change. We're having to adjust our palettes to different
but at least you do agree that we have a security challenge, right?
No, there's no doubt about that. I mean,
okay, all right.
No
just wanted to.
Everybody has agreed to that. Everybody has spoken to that.
Okay, all right.
We just need to address it and we'll take it from there.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Adefeko. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Mr. Ade Adefeko is the chairman, Agribusiness Group of NASIMA. He's also the consul of Botswana in Lagos. Thank you so much.